And welcome back, everyone. So, from Alan Perkins, and I'm sure several other people who I just couldn't find in the book, I really only kind of went off of Alan's first. I'll probably look through it again and just check off the people who gave me the suggestion. We have Beerus, Lord Beerus, versus Sentry from Marvel. This is one of those real tricky ones, because the Sentry is known for being the strongest hero, and in many freaking ways, Sentry is, bar none, the strongest hero. He can match characters like Thor. He's stronger than even characters like Thor. He can tear holes in reality. He can manipulate matter on a scale at least equivalent to the Molecule Man. He can form light constructs. He is strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Worldbreaker Hulk. He is arguably he can insane regenerative capabilities. It can pretty much come back from the dead. And he has the Void, which is kind of just this embodiment of darkness and depression. And I'm not talking about the movie version. I am talking about the general version. But darkness and evil and depression, everything nasty that's so powerful, it literally was going to kind of just destroy Asgard and raise just the universe if left unchecked. So, in many ways, like, this shouldn't even be a contest, right? This should be a stomp. But the problem for the Sentry comes down to this. His power is always in flux. I mean, he's always like a standard level of power, like in terms of strength. He's always exceptionally strong, but his max potential is almost always out of reach because of his mental state. His mental health and his fight with the Void hinder him usually on a constant level. There are other times where he is just unbeatable, like straight out, but other times where he is not in a good way and he could easily be taken down. Case in point, when he was killed by Thor many, many years ago, he was killed by Thor not because Thor was actually stronger than him, but because he ultimately, because he wanted to die and let himself die, only to come back later. So, going up against someone like Beerus, who scale-wise probably doesn't scale quite to like someone like Sentry, who can scale above Thor, who is way into the multiverse in terms of power. And the Void, who is, again, a very, very, definitely high universal, multiversal level issue. Beerus is a multiversal level threat. He is. But the problem is, the Dragon Ball multiverse is not very big. Like, it is a finite multiverse. While we do say multiversal in terms of his feats, his multiverse, at least to what we know of, is a finite series of universes. 13, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's, at least I believe it's 13. 12 or 13. Either way. I believe it's 13. So, it's a finite amount of universes, which admittedly are larger than average universes. It is a statistical fact, it's been proven through math that the base universes in Dragon Ball are much larger than the average universe. So, it does have that going for it. But Beerus still is the god of destruction. He is a universal to multiversal level threat. And I don't want to hear anyone bitching about, no, he's not, and, they never showed anything. Like, yes, it is. It is called scaling. Now, scaling can be used for evil, but generally speaking, it's just looking at the facts of power and just doing the math on it, for fuck's sake. I saw someone, like, talk about Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece in comment section. Like, Bleach is barely even this, and the Naruto's the strongest. It's like, look, even most Naruto fans, and there were plenty in that comment section, agree that whether or not Naruto's more popular, which it is, even I acknowledge that it's more popular, Bleach is the strongest of the three verses. Like, it's not even close. So, Dragon Ball generally scales even higher than that. But Beerus, what he does have going for him, though, is he is a master martial artist. He does have energy absorption techniques. Most energy techniques don't work against him. He uses a Kai, which can erase existences and erase just, anything from, it's just pure utter destruction. You have Pseudo Ultra Instinct. He is millions of years old, so he does have that experience under his belt. But to be fair, he spends a lot of that time sleeping, so that does get counteracted. Still, he's got Flight, Energy Blast, the standard fare of a character from Dragon Ball Z. So who wins in a fight? I think we gotta look at Sentry at his peak, Sentry at his lowest, and then what you usually get with Sentry. And then you still gotta bring the Void into the equation. So at his lowest points, even if he is still able to be Sentry, Beerus would have probably no problem one-shotting him, actually. Like, he would just be able to just Hakai him, and it's fine. Now, Sentry at his absolute dominance, like his true absolute peak, no void hindering him, that is a tougher fight. So, hold on. I'm actually going to get some of Sentry's feats. Sentry feats. So, the Sentry, yeah, let's see. What are some feats here now? The peak of Sentry, I'm not even sure if we've ever truly seen Sentry as, because even World War Hulk Sentry, that's not Sentry at his peak. He was actually still wrestling with a lot of, like, mental issues at that point. Like, he made the decision to go and fight, but that's not actually him at his peak. Be back up as before. The Void would attempt to dominate the bare half. Credit for remaining on Earth. Man, I'm trying to look for some extra crispy feats here. Thank you. He does not age. Well, whatever. Let's see. What are some of his best feats? And someone's gonna say, don't you know I have any comic knowledge? Fuck you. Yes, I do. But sometimes you need to refresh your source of knowledge. Okay, you need to go and and don't use this. Wikis are biased. No, wikis are collective information. If people abuse that, that's on them. And then we have to try to get those people out of the equation. So yeah, some of the Sentry's best feats was, again, overpowering the Absorbing Man's power, which is nuts. Absorbing Man also had the Odin Force and the powers of Mjolnir at the time, so that's also very impressive. Let's see here. What an Sentry was releasing enough energy to fight and destroy the world. We know he's planetary minimum. Barest the minimum is it. Let's see here. Most people, he brought out the entire city of Asgard, which is actually a planet of existence. Void overpowered Savage Hulk and broke all his bones. Void was one of the few beings that Hulk is afraid of. The Void was able to defeat Molecule. The Void was Sentry using the Void at the time. Was able to defeat Molecule Man, the guy who can control matter on a multiversal scale. He also casually ripped apart Ares. And then if we want to get technical, there's also Death Seed Sentry, ripping his own head in half, technically, and telepathically assaulting Wasp, which is just messed up. Telekinetically stopped Mjolnir dead in his tracks, and the scan below this one, he should punching Thor hard enough to shake a planet. Let me see here now. Anything else I need that can get thrown in my face here? And this is Death Seed Sentry. Rips his own face in half and blasts Thor with some heat vision, knocking him out. And then there's Perfect Sentry. That's right. Perfect Sentry is peak Sentry. Okay. He's able to stomp Scout with the power of Golden Sentry. Okay, so basically, Scout is one of the newer Sentries, a version of Sentry. Perfect Sentry literally beat essentially himself. Perfect Sentry is a combination of the powers of the Golden Sentry and the Void. So yeah, Perfect Sentry, all-powerful Sentry, who's actually red. It looks more like Magneto, actually. He literally has all the powers of Void, who's got multiversal level threat powers, and standard Golden Sentry, who is still arguably a multiversal level threat because he has universe-based feats like tearing universes apart or punching through universes. So, yeah, Perfect Sentry, who was actually had manipulation on par to just to beat Molecule Man, a multiversal level beast in that sense. I'm sorry, I love me Beerus. I love me that purple cat. He is one of my favorite characters in Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. But Sentry's ripping him a new asshole. Perfect Sentry would rip him a complete and utter new asshole. He'd make a litter box for that asshole and he'd rip it a new one. But if we're looking at just standard Sentry, take the Void out of the equation. Just standard Sentry. That one actually isn't as clear-cut, I think. Golden Sentry is still on the power of a universal level threat, even going so far as being multiversal and contending with Thor. But he still has his weaknesses of self-doubt, his mental health to be factored into that. And very rarely has Golden Sentry ever been at peak condition. Even when he has, he's been matched by someone like Savage Hulk, who, as strong as he is, Beerus is much stronger than the Savage Hulk, even Worldbreaker Hulk. And if you need proof on that, you can just, again, not that I use Death Battle that much, but Death Battle really did calc that, I think, pretty well, that the Dragon Ball characters just supersede any universe-smashing Hulk feats that Hulk has. And Beerus easily is still stronger than Broly, as far as we know. So, yeah, but I think, now don't get me wrong, it still wouldn't be an immediate effect, because physical strength-wise, not enhanced by, like, Ki, Sentry still has that edge. So he'd come in, see Beerus, just go, "Weez, what are we doing here? Oh, we're getting something for dinner. No, well, make sure it's not spicy. You know I didn't like that wasabi crap last time." He's like, "Who are you?" "I am the Sentry." He's like, "Go away now, mortal." It's like, "No, sorry, not gonna happen." Just comes in, cracks him right in the face. That actually hurts. All right, then let's see what you've got. And then they clash for a boom, boom, take it into space. Finally, you were just finally, he's absorbing all the energy from Sentry. Now, Sentry could theoretically absorb things like a Hakai or something like that, or at least destroyer energy. I don't see any reason why he couldn't do that, to be honest. If he could absorbing man's absorbing powers in reverse, along with the power of Odin Force and Mjolnir, I don't see why he couldn't absorb some destroyer energy. But I think Beerus would just overwhelm the Sentry overall. Now, I'm talking about Golden Sentry, just base Sentry. Even Peak Sentry, still arguable. But again, Perfect Sentry, look, again, reiterate, love me my Purple Cat Man, love him, one of my favorite DBZ characters. Again, Perfect Sentry is clapping those cat cheeks. He's clapping them cat cheeks. Absolutely. And then get him in a whole new litter box. He's gonna be walking around for a while. So yeah, Perfect Sentry would eviscerate Beerus. Void would be, it's arguable he could beat the Void. I don't think he could beat the Void. The Void is something that is part of like the primal eldritch darkness before time immemorial. It's from where Null is from. Null completely makes a bitch out of the Sentry and the Void. So yeah, no, the Void and Perfect Sentry, I would say, is a no. I don't think Beerus could take them on. I think he'd put up his best shot. I think the Void would even be impressed by his power. But then when you combine Standard Sentry and Void's power together, Perfect Sentry is just completely other level. Golden Sentry, though, I think would be a good match. Physically, I actually do think he surpasses Beerus. Like, most of those super type characters are just physically stronger than Dragon Ball characters. Because even with amping Ki, unless you're going like straight into transformations like Super Saiyan Blue or something along those lines, which that is God level power, which is universe to multiverse level. Just natural physicality, though, they don't need to do. They don't have to transform to like compare and contrast. So, or not to compare and contrast. That's a sentence doesn't make any sense. They don't have to transform to amp their strength per se. And then a weakened Sentry, yeah, Beerus would make short work of a weakened Sentry. So I would still lean towards Sentry in the long haul. I think Beerus could definitely put up a fight to lower levels of Sentries. But once you get to the Void, and once you get the Perfect Sentry, I don't think it's a contest. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And don't do drugs and do videos, kids. Well, I mean, look, do drugs responsibly if you're a adult with your prefrontal cortex fully manifested and fully developed. But yeah, no, someone made a comment about that in my Dracula vs. Kong video because they thought they were funny. And it's like, well, congrats. Like, no one's responding. This is me responding, and I was like, all right, fine. I'm not going to do you the courtesy of like responding to it in the comment section, because you either think you're funny or you just want attention or you think you're making a point. Like, look, if you don't think my videos are good, that's fine, but try to be more clever than that. Like, how many times do you use that in other people's videos, man? Come on. Be a little bit more creative. And I digress. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you next time.